Alright guys, we're going to talk about a couple things that might be new to you during this video. We're going to cover watercolor and a little bit of color theory, starting with the color wheel and some color schemes. So first thing, I'm just going to go over the basics of getting started with watercolor. So you see here I removed that tray of color, and you may need to do this if you need to clean out your dish like I'm doing right now. You saw a little bit of red in there, so I have some water and some paper towels, and then you can put that in. If you notice, if you look close, the color tray has rounded edges, and those will fit nicely into the rounded corners, so you do want to pay attention to that. And then here I'm cleaning out the color too. If someone wasn't careful and maybe brought a little bit of green into your yellow, for example, you can just use some water and the end of the brush or paper towel and clean that out of the yellow. I have a cup of water, I have some paper towels, and for this assignment I have a flat brush, but any sort of brush would work. Now before I get started painting on this worksheet, I'm going to fill a couple things out. So first I write my name on it. I complete this sentence here. Color is an element of art, and we've talked about that when we went through the elements of art and principles of design. And there I pointed at the triangle on the inside there, the BRY, and that stands for blue, yellow, red. And those are the three primary colors. Now, some things that are unique about primary colors is that a combination of those colors are used to mix all other colors or some variation of those colors. And those colors cannot be made by mixing. So those are the two kind of sentences I'm writing down. Make all other colors, cannot be made by mixing. And then the next thing I'm going to write is for secondary colors. And those are the outside ones there, G-O-V, green, orange, violet. And what is unique about secondary colors is they are made by mixing the primary colors. And then you could take it one step farther, and tertiary colors would be the colors in between the secondary colors and the primary colors on the color wheel. I don't have a space for you to write that down, but that might be something worth knowing. And then some of the other things I'm going to talk about here are different color schemes. So the color wheel is the wheel that goes around the outside there. And an analogous color scheme is any three colors that are directly next to each other on that color wheel. So any three next to each other on the wheel. And then complementary colors, those would be any colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. So a yellow and a violet, a blue and an orange, a green and a red. And those are common color schemes. You could think of a handful of sports teams off the top of your head that use those color schemes. The Lakers, the Vikings are yellow and violet, for example. Red and green is the Wild. And then once I have that written, I'm going to go ahead and start painting now. You'll want to make sure that you get situated in a way so that you don't have to spend a lot of time going back and forth between stuff. I have the lid here pointed towards my drawing, partly so that you can see it, and partly because it's quick too. So I take a little bit of water, I put it in the lid, and then I take the pigment from the oval there. And then the more water you have, the lighter it's going to be, the less water, and more pigment, the more saturated the color, the brighter it's going to look. Now you want to be careful here that you definitely don't want to use too much water. One, because it's going to really desaturate the color, make it a little bit difficult to see what you're doing, and two, and maybe more importantly, is it's going to run all over the place and be really hard to control. And for right now, we want to try to avoid that. So you see, I start by putting blue in the blue triangle where the primary, and then out to the color wheel. But I'm also going to go down to the color schemes below, and I'm gonna need blue eventually, so why not do it now when I already have it mixed up and I don't need to clean my brush off. So I put one in an analogous for one of the analogous, and then one blue in one of the complementary too. And then I'll go back and finish those later. So I want to clean my brush off. I use some water. I use the paper towel to pull the paint out of the bristles. And I'm going to go clockwise around the wheel here. So I'm just going to go to violet. I mix up a little bit of violet, And I'm going to go through the same process basically. I go from the the inside, in this case it's the secondary, to the wheel, then I'm going to go to the analogous, and then to another set of complementary colors like we've already talked about. I'll go back when I get to yellow eventually and fill that in, but I know I'll need purple at some point, so why not do it now? And the reason I do this is because it saves quite a bit of time, really. You can waste a little bit of time if I were to have to go back and clean my brush and mix the paint and keep having to do that. It saves quite a bit of time to just do it all at once when you have the color already mixed up. Now, uh, this may be the most important part of it, is mixing color here. So I'm gonna mix in this lid, and when I'm mixing, I have to know which color is the more powerful color, because the darker color is going to overpower the lighter color. So in this case, the purple is really dark, and so I want to bring the purple, a little bit of the dark color, a little bit of the purple to the blue, and not the other way around. And that way, I have a lot more control of the color I'm mixing. And this will be much more obvious when you're using some lighter colors. Blue and purple are fairly close in this case, but something like yellow, for example. Yellow is a very light color, so you'll have a lot of troubles if you try to add yellow to green, for example. You'll always want to have a little bit of the darker color, like green, and add that to yellow. Or like I just did, add the purple to the blue, and you'll just have more control. All right, so I'm done with that. I can clean out my tray. If I would have had a little bit of purple left over, I would have left that, because then I could have used it when I have to mix the red purple or red violet mixture in just a moment here. And my colors blended together a little bit too much, so I wasn't able to do that. But as you'll notice later in the video, uh, I will do that when I don't use all of my color. So if I don't use all of my red, I'll leave a little bit of it and use it to mix the red-orange a step later. Now, the last thing I'm going to do here is talk about color schemes just a little bit more. So I draw this diagonal line from the left side of the yellow and the right side of the violet. And this splits the color wheel in half. It splits it into two different color schemes. I have my warm colors to the right and my cool colors to the left. And you can you can make associations with those colors. The right looks like fire, the left looks like winter or ice or grass. And then I'm going down and just labeling them too, so that left analogous color scheme is cool, the right one is warm, and then each complementary color also has a warm and a cool color. And some things to think about when you're working on this is try to get even flat washes of color and avoid your color pooling up or your brush strokes being too evident. And then also try to get good mixtures, good gradual transitions between the colors. And I think that's all. So go ahead and get started on this, and good luck.